Thank the House. We've conducted ourselves very well this morning, and I want to thank the Speaker. You have presided over the proceedings as expected. I move and request the Leader of the Minority, Justice Madayo, to second my motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I fully support the move of this motion. My brother, Dr. Boni Khalwale, and therefore second the motion. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I will now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 38.1, the Senate do suspend its proceedings in order to allow Senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, and the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority and that of the National Police Service Commission regarding the safety and well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert OJWANG. Now, the floor is open for debate. However, Honorable Senators, this being a procedural motion, with your concurrence, you may allow me to put the question so that we dispense with it. I will therefore proceed to put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 38.1, the Senate do suspend its proceedings in order to allow Senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, and the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Clerk, Sergeant at Arms, kindly usher in the witnesses, please. Honorable CS and your team, welcome back to the Senate. Now, honorable senators, just like I stated in my communication, we are going to allow the CS and his team to respond to the questions that have already been posed. Thereafter, we'll take a second round of questions. So, honorable CS, you have the floor. All the questions that have been directed to you, you may proceed to respond to them. Thereafter, the IG will follow. After the IG will hear responses from IPOA. After IPOA, we will hear from the National Police Service Commission. And lastly, we'll hear DCI. You may proceed, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, let me appreciate all the members for the questions they've raised, but also for suggestions they've given on areas of improvement, particularly in terms of law and operation of the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, we have taken notes, but also we will benefit from the Hansard so that we can be able to make sure that all, especially the policy and regulatory suggestions, Mr. Speaker, are going to be taken into consideration. Mr. Speaker, I understood this assignment. First of all, let me say this. I came here today not because I was called, not because a letter, I saw any letter, maybe it was sent from your office. I just saw you live, Mr. Speaker, yesterday. And once you announced live that you will need the minister from here, I did not even take 5 minutes. I called the IG. And I told the IG and the chair of IPOA that we must go to Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I am very grateful that there is a forum like this for us to be held into account. And like many colleagues have said here, that the same exercise I used to do before to hold others into account, Mr. Speaker, I must also abide by the same process to be held into account. So, Mr. Speaker, I respect the authority of this House. Mr. Speaker, I also want to correct an impression that may have been created by my statement. Remember that Senator Eddy, when he rose, he said, Mr. Speaker, he wanted the Cabinet Secretary to shed light on what I saw with my eyes as the possible persons culpable insofar as the murder of Mr. Albert OJWANG is concerned. Mr. Speaker, I must say this, that it is that led me to Article 245 of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, most people may have misconstrued to mean that the Cabinet Secretary does not have responsibility to oversight the National Police Service in the work they do, whether it is in excesses of police officers or in other policy issues. Mr. Speaker, that's far from the truth. I confined myself, Mr. Speaker, I zeroed in on Article 245, subsection 4, Mr. Speaker, for purpose of the investigation, specific investigation touching on this particular gentleman. Mr. Speaker, it will be a violation of our Constitution if, as a Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Speaker, I would now arrogate myself a responsibility contrary to Article 245(4) of the Constitution, where when an investigation is done, if it is suspected that a senator has committed an offense, and as a Cabinet Secretary starts saying, I call the IG and tell IG, go arrest so-and-so, investigate so-and-so, charge so-and-so, it is the people of Kenya under Article 245 of the Constitution wanted to remove the possibility of any person, not just the Cabinet Secretary, a senator, a president, and any other person would direct investigations into any matter outside the authority of the National Police Service and the Inspector General himself. That is why the only exception given, Mr. Speaker, is the office of the DPP, who can give directions to the IG to carry out investigations. So I want to correct that impression. It doesn't mean that I don't have an eye to make sure that there's a policy framework where police brutality must be dealt with in the country, that we must deal with issues related to abductions, Mr. Speaker, that we must deal with issues, Mr. Speaker, that are related to extrajudicial killings, among others. That is a responsibility that not just the Cabinet Secretary, but also the National Security Council, as everybody has said here, carries out an oversight responsibility on that matter. I want to correct that impression because I saw everybody was riding on that particular section of Article 245. And if I may read again, Mr. Speaker, it says that no person may give a direction to the Inspector General with respect to the investigation of any particular offenses or offenses the enforcement of the law against any particular person or persons. But enforcement of the law generally, I can give directions policy-wise. Investigations generally to acts or resurgence of certain acts or omissions, Mr. Speaker, or offenses, Mr. Speaker, I can be able to give that direction. But I cannot wake up here and say, Senator Eddie be investigated, or Senator so-and-so. That is what Kenyans were running away from. Number two, Mr. Speaker, is to say that it is also not right for me, under the same article, to give direction as to the employment, assignment, promotion, suspension, or dismissal of any person who works in the National Police Service. Again, the people of Kenya wanted to remove a situation where political leaders, including the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Speaker, would use their position to determine whether a police officer will be transferred, will be promoted, will be fired, will be hired. Mr. Speaker, that was the intention of the people of Kenya, to insulate the National Police Service and to make sure that it's an independent institution. But that does not mean that under policy direction, we cannot tell the Inspector General that any person who is found committing an offense must be removed. That is a policy direction, but not to superintend upon the rules of the IG by picking on specific officers to say, arrest this or leave this other person. If that clarity is achieved, Mr. Speaker, then Mr. Speaker, the problem that people had, including Senator Kalwale, on the question of I do not have an eye. I do not have an eye constitutionally of superintending upon specific investigations, but I have an eye of ensuring that the National Police Service operate under the Constitution and the law, Mr. Speaker. I needed to make sure that I clear that issue. On the other issues, Mr. Speaker, I saw my friend Senator Kalwale had said, Mr. Speaker, because of that Article 245 of the Constitution, therefore, Mr. Speaker, I should abdicate my responsibility. Mr. Speaker, like has been said by many senators here, Senator KANJA, Senator Kio, Mr. Speaker, on my position, and they have said what I did when I was in this house. My position has never changed, Mr. Speaker. I am, as like the Caleb in the Bible said, I am as strong as I was 5 years ago. Mr. Speaker, my position on the issues of brutality, my position, Mr. Speaker, on anything extrajudicial, killings, my position, Mr. Speaker, on matters abductions remain the same position I had in this office, in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, let me say how. Mr. Speaker, when I go to office, I made sure that on the question, and you know, some people speak as though I've been in this office for 6 months. Mr. Speaker, I'm not yet even 6 months since I joined this office, but I'm glad that many people have expectation in me. I know even of a particular senator, Mr. Speaker, who never even waited for 2 months, whose natural national chorus is MURKOMEN must resign, MURKOMEN must be fired. Mr. Speaker, even when I was 2 months to the office, that was the song he was singing. Mr. Speaker, I am used to that song. But the point I want to make is that as a cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, when I go to office, I know, Mr. Speaker, for sure that there were challenges in our National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, in any case, the statement you have asked me to come and answer today, if it were not for the issue of Albert Ojwang, is in relation to last year's unfortunate incidents that happened on 25th of June. Mr. Speaker, where a number of cases are under investigations. Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, the question of Baby Pendo. Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, the question of Koome. Mr. Speaker, I disclose here that lawyer Kimani was my friend. I knew him. Mr. Speaker, in all those investigations, Mr. Speaker, the Independent Police Oversight Authority did their job. Even as Senator Metu was saying, there might be a cover-up. In the case of Senator Kimani, because I follow, Wakili Kimani, in that particular case, Mr. Speaker, there was an attempt to cover up. But, Mr. Speaker, because of the work that IPOA did, 6 police officers are now, Mr. Speaker, on the queue waiting to be hanged because of what they did to kill a lawyer, Mr. Speaker, whose job was only to defend his client. Mr. Speaker, therefore, there is enough precedent to deal with matters that are related to police brutality and extrajudicial killing. Mr. Speaker, I personally, even though I am not part and parcel of this investigation, I have no doubt in my mind, Mr. Speaker, that if the speed that IPOA is using and the cooperation National Police Service is giving, Mr. Speaker, that the perpetrators of this heinous act against Albert, Mr. Speaker, will be brought to book. And, Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt in my mind that if our judiciary, working closely with the DPP and the investigators, these people will just follow the same route that other police officers in the past have followed who have committed this heinous act. I wanted to give that assurance to the people of Kenya. And the KIPCHUMBA of that time is the same one. Mr. Speaker, I went to Nakuru. Brian Odhiambo, his mother confronted me because Brian Odhiambo was kidnapped and taken to, I think it was National Park. Mr. Speaker, the investigations have stopped. The arrest was not happening. But Mr. Speaker, when I came back, I told the investigation authorities, it's your responsibility to make sure that those who have participated in the kidnapping of Brian Odhiambo must be brought to book. Mr. Speaker, as a result of that pressure I put in as a cabinet secretary, those people were charged in the court in Nakuru. Mr. Speaker, on matters of abductions, since I entered office, I have been very vocal, Mr. Speaker, including an investigation that is ongoing regarding a member of parliament. And Mr. Speaker, we will unearth all those cases of abductions. Mr. Speaker, when we came to office, even though I was not a cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, the president gave directions to the country during campaign and after we came to office that he does not want to see extrajudicial killing, he doesn't want to see bodies in River Yala, he doesn't want to see bodies in River Tana, he doesn't want to see bodies in Abadeas of people who have been abducted and killed. Mr. Speaker, we may not have exterminated completely these criminals who are doing these acts. But, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you there is no systematic or planned such acts in government. And, Mr. Speaker, there is not by accident that as this administration came to office, there are no bodies that are found in River Yala or River Tana, Mr. Speaker. Why? Because we took a stand position, Mr. Speaker, and we'll continue in that direction. And, Mr. Speaker, I am glad that now we enjoy this level of democracy and freedom to speak. Even those who presided over the ministry when bodies were floating in River Yala, Mr. Speaker, now have the freedom to call us into order. And, Mr. Speaker, it is because they know this is a government that is responsive to the things that the people of Kenya are asking for. And I want to assure the nation that I am the same KIPCHUMBA who was a valiant soldier in this house. I will use the same vigor, Mr. Speaker, to exterminate all kinds of, Mr. Speaker, criminal activities within the police. And the police know. And I have told them clearly, in all the forum, Mr. Speaker, I established what is called Jukwaa la Usalama. In this Jukwaa la Usalama, all the OCSs attend the meeting. In every county, Mr. Speaker, we've completed coast and eastern 14 counties. Mr. Speaker, in all those forums, I want to assure the House that as a cabinet secretary, I have told the police officer in no uncertain terms that anybody who is going to be found to carry out such kind of extrajudicial killing will carry their burden. Let me come to the specific questions, Mr. Speaker, that touched on me. Number one, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, that was the first question by Senator Kalwale. Mr. Speaker, there is Senator KANJA asked, Mr. Speaker, about, again, and I've responded to that question generally about my record and so forth. Mr. Speaker, on the extrajudicial killings, Senator also KANJA asked, Mr. Speaker, whether I have given any policy directions related to, Mr. Speaker, this issue of Mr. Speaker, how to handle an arrested person. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the, let me just refer to this. If you look at the police standing orders, Mr. Speaker, at the moment, Mr. Speaker, and I don't want to read so that I give time to everybody to respond, because it's a long list, maybe I'll table later. The police standing orders already prescribe and provide, Mr. Speaker, how to handle a police officer, including before you book in, not a police officer, a suspect. Before you book in a suspect, you must confirm that he was in good health or not, Mr. Speaker. And those regulations.
Honorable Senators, he has just said he will table, but
yes,
he wants to pick a few statements from
yes,
that before he does that.
So, Mr. Speaker, it says that the guidelines, Mr. Speaker, require that you must determine the health and general conditions of the suspect. Every arrested person shall be granted police bond and bail at the earliest opportunity. All suspects must undergo mental and physical health screening at the time of booking. The suspect must be immediately booked upon arrest and entry record in the occurrence book. All movements of the suspect into and out of the cell must be recorded in the OB. And if you had the investigations that are ongoing, they are telling us when he was booked in, when he was removed, Mr. Speaker, and that will assist the IPOA in the investigation, that occurrence book. Mr. Speaker, police cells must not be overcrowded. Space per detainee must conform to minimum standards. The booking officer must inform the suspect of their basic rights. communication must suspect. All this, it is not the absence of the legal framework or policy directions that led to the killing of Mr. Albert OJWANG, Mr. Speaker. It is blatant disregard of the law and the Constitution. And that's why we are not coming here to give excuses that it is in the absence of a policy direction from the ministry. No, Mr. Speaker, it is just blatant disregard. If you see how that gentleman was beaten, Mr. Speaker, the person who did it is an animal. And it calls upon all of us to say that that person must face justice, and it at the shortest time possible, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, there is absolutely no reason on my side, Mr. Speaker, to try to hide anything, Mr. Speaker, because that investigations, as I said earlier, covering other previous police officers have led to them being held into account. Mr. Speaker, Senator Mungatana asked the question of training of police officers. On the questions of human rights, I must confirm here that there has been progressive growth in terms of training of police officers. However, Mr. Speaker, the truth is that because of lack of resources, Mr. Speaker, our police officers, last training they have is the day they were recruited, Mr. Speaker. Only those in the higher cadre, Mr. Speaker, and all who sometimes get to go to promotion get to be trained, but a large number of our police officers do not get to go through this promotion. And therefore, one of the things that the National Police Service has been pushing, and we will push with them, and I'll help them push this issue, is to make sure that budgetary allocation is provided, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the police get money to continuous training and updating their knowledge on human rights. Mr. Speaker, it's also expected that when you punish perpetrators like this, Mr. Speaker, it was always expected that we would send a message to others. But like any other society, when you have a force of 120,000 police officers, you will find a small number of them, Mr. Speaker, violating the Constitution and the law. Mr. Speaker, Senator Mogeni, I suspect I've answered this question, whether I had any responsibility, supervisory responsibility as part of the Security Council, and I said yes. Mr. Speaker, the only answer I gave that I didn't have an eye on, and I am not supposed to do, is to meddle on specific investigation. If I do so, it will reach a state where our cabinet secretary will be picking people politically on who's to be charged and who's not be charged, and that is what the Constitution tried to remove from us. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Senator Wambua, I think generally I've also answered by the statement I made, except to add that, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure my friend Senator Wambua that I did demand answers from the Inspector General of Police. The only difference is that because I'm a cabinet secretary, I cannot demand in public. I cannot call a press conference to demand speedy investigation from the Inspector General or to request him to make sure that the people of Kenya get answers in good time. It is because we work together. I can give him a call and to tell him to speed up the process. And I think if you think that this is an issue that was reported on Sunday, and Mr. Speaker, today is Tuesday, the speed, Mr. Speaker, is commendable. And I believe that if the IPOA can move in the same speed, it should be in a few days, and I don't want to commit myself because they are independent. They should commit themselves to, in the shortest time possible, to make sure that that file is taken to the DPP office. I also agree with the sentiments from Senator Veronica Maina, Mr. Speaker, on the human rights, on the reform program, that it must continue. There is a team that is currently constituted in the ministry that is working on the reform program. I have also asked a team, my own team in my own office, to look at all the legislation on issues of abductions and extrajudicial killing, if there are also areas that we need to close the gap to make sure that at least internally from our police force, there is no possibility of any person involving themselves in that issue. And Mr. Speaker, if I get areas where it needs legislative reform, I will come back to this House for support. Mr. Speaker, I agree with her that in one way or another we must support Albert's family, and I hope that those who will be found culpable also will be held into account, Mr. Speaker, over and above us just supporting from as government, and also all of us who are sitting here, perhaps from our own calling and generosity. Mr. Speaker, there was also a suggestion from Senator Dulo that we may need to look at the use of the computer misuse law. Mr. Speaker, we were here, we debated this law, there were issues, it went to High Court, it went to Court of Appeal, where it is at the moment. Mr. Speaker, some of those issues, we can relook at them. Mr. Speaker, even the team that I've constituted in my office, I've told them to look at all the decisions of the courts, including Justice Ogola's rules, among others, Mr. Speaker, on how to handle a suspect, so that then we can see if we have updating the standing orders, or we are coming up with new regulations that will make sure that our police service is a bit, Mr. Speaker, up to date. Mr. Speaker, I know that I have been asked whether I should run away from this responsibility. Mr. Speaker, for the 6 months I've been in this office, nearly 6 months I've been in this office, the effort and the energy I've put to revamp this ministry, Mr. Speaker, gives me hope that in the near future we will see the fruits of this responsibility. Mr. Speaker, I know that in moments like this, like those who went before me and others who have other responsibilities, Mr. Speaker, these are the moments that the duty to serve overrides, Mr. Speaker, the condemnation to throw in the towel. It is important as a leader, when you are faced with challenges, to provide solutions. If you become the kind of a leader that runs away from solutions, Mr. Speaker, then you miss that opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I've been asked by dear Mr. Nyutu and Senator Nyutu and Senator Kalwale, Mr. Speaker, the question of why, Mr. Speaker, I should not ask the DIG Langat to step aside. Mr. Speaker, let me say this, that, Mr. Speaker, this is an ongoing investigation. To the best of my knowledge so far, the information we only have is that the Deputy Inspector General of Police, despite being the DIG, took the step to report what he thought was an act of, or a crime committed against him. And Mr. Speaker, went low as reporting this to the DCI. And that investigation was done. And in the process of this investigation, somebody has died. Mr. Speaker, nobody has told me here whether the investigations lead to a particular result, whether it is to protect him or to exonerate him or to charge him, Mr. Speaker, is not my responsibility. That responsibility rests with independent police oversight authority if they find any culpability, Mr. Speaker. The rule of law demands from all of us, God forbid, should a senator here, at the rank of minority leader, for example, report a case to the police and the suspect is arrested and dies in custody, God forbid that the minority leader, someone will say he must take responsibility. In the same breath, Mr. Speaker, there must be a link between the crime and the individual. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will ask IPOA, and as I said earlier, as the Cabinet Secretary, I will not play a role in pushing for a particular person to be charged or a particular person to be exonerated. The evidence must lead to the suspect, Mr. Speaker. And when we are going for anybody, it must be based on evidence. Otherwise, if we lose that rule of law, people will be taking advantage of such occasions to do the same. Mr. Speaker, ask yourself, I was here in this chamber, Mr. Speaker, when as I said, my friend Kimani was abducted by police officers and killed in Machakos. Mr. Speaker, I was here when the case of Pepe Pendo happened. I was here when Koome happened. Mr. Speaker, the process, even when people thought that there will be no justice, justice was found because the right process was followed by IPOA. I think we should support IPOA to do their job instead of getting ourselves to the direction where the House can direct who should be charged and who not be charged. Mr. Speaker, I was a bit worried. I know there is privilege in the chamber. I was a bit worried when senators divert to the attention of determining who is to be charged and who is not to be charged. Mr. Speaker, it violates the same Article 245 of the Constitution and affects the question of rule of law. What we should be demanding is that every person who will be found culpable, led by the evidence, must be brought to book, regardless of the position, regardless of his relationship with anybody. Mr. Speaker, and the last thing was, there was something to do with reforms again. And to close in, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to assure Senator Haji. Mr. Speaker, when Senator Haji spoke, I was fighting tears because he spoke for all of us and he spoke for this country. Mr. Speaker, the life of Albert OJWANG is as painful, Mr. Speaker, as the life of Father Alois, who was killed by criminals. It's also as painful as the life of that person killed in Garissa. It's the same as the ones who died in Todonyang where I visited recently, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, in the national security architecture, we take every life seriously. We are glad that there is an opportunity today to discuss the question of the life of Mr. Albert Ojwang. I do not take it away from those who brought it to this chamber. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the country that we take the same seriousness in every other life, just like the case of Albert. And I hope that also this chamber and the Republic will be conscious to deal with these issues when they come before us. Mr. Speaker, I remain seized of this matter. I will remain accountable to this House, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I'm ready and willing to ensure that I respond to all the questions that this chamber. Mr. Speaker, in any case, in the statement I was going to bring to this House, there are also very weighty issues about abductions and police brutalities and citizens killing during protests last year. And I believe that, Mr. Speaker, when we get the time to come back again, these issues will have to be ventilated based on the responses that we are going to bring to this chamber. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now we are going to hear responses from the IG. IG, you mentioned the name of the senator and the question and proceed to respond so that we save on time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. The honorable members of the Senate. Let me start by saying that I appreciate you very much. The questions that were raised here, they are questions that are weighty. They are questions that are very valid. They are questions that are also going to assist us, even when we're looking at our standard operating procedures and so forth. So I really, really appreciate your contribution, the questions that you asked. They are very, very important to us. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me say that when I was being vetted by Parliament, I did inform the Parliament that I will operate within the frameworks of the law. And I demanded the same from my officers, the members of the National Police Service, to operate within the frameworks of the law. That is the reason why myself as the Inspector General and the leadership of the National Police Service, we are pained by the loss of the late Ojwang in our police cells there. We are pained. As a parent, I'm also pained for losing young Ojwang. I feel pained. Now, when we go to the questions, the first question was by Honorable Senator Okechi. The circumstances that led to the death of the late Albert Ojwang. These circumstances are being investigated by IPOA. And as my CS has said, let us give IPOA an opportunity so that they can quickly be able to investigate and tell us openly exactly what really happened. Number two, there was this report of Albert having hit his head against the wall. That is the information that came, the primary information that came from the same station. But in the subsequent press briefing that I did, that was rectified, and in fact, we can even be able to see it very, very clearly by the results of the investigations. There was this question that was asked by Honorable Senator Medho. Why was he taken to Bagathi and not Kenyatta National Hospital, which probably could be a little bit near? Let me say this. Both of them are government hospitals, both Kenyatta and Bagathi Hospital. Maybe for the officers who were taking him to hospital, they made a decision to take him to Bagathi, but both of them are government hospitals. And we believe that they have got what it takes to treat a sick person. Then there is also this question of the interdiction of the officers. Why is it that the Inspector General did interdict the officers immediately? The reasons as to why I did interdict the officer commanding Central Police Station, the duty officer of the night when the late Albert OJWANG lost his life, the officers who are manning the report office, manning
IG just pause. Yes, what's your intervention, Senator Fokelefe?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can see he has now going to be answering those questions which were asked. I had a question as to why was he not arrested, charged, or put whatever in a custody or something like that in Homa Bay. Why did he have to travel all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi and ended up losing his life here?
Senator Fokelefe, the IG has a list of all those questions. He will get to yours. Just be patient. Proceed, IG.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. This question was actually asked by Honorable Senator Medo, as to why I did interdict these officers, because these were the officers who were on duty there. And we wanted to ensure that once the IPOA takes over, the investigations are smooth and there's no one who is going to interfere with those investigations. That's why we wanted them to step aside and allow free investigation, because we wanted expeditious investigations to be carried out. We want to know who is this or who are these who committed that heinous crime. And we want to know it as quickly as possible. There was the question from for Boni Harwere. That one has been answered by my CS. Then the question from Honorable Senator Manzayo, why Albert OJWANG was arrested in Homa Bay and why he had to be transported up to Nairobi. This question, the DCI is going to answer it very, 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 very clearly as to the reasons why he was transported from Homa Bay up to Nairobi. But basically, it is because in Nairobi, that is where the offense was actually committed. But DCI is going to give more details on that. Why the CCTVs were again interfered with? That is another question that was also asked by Senator Masayo. The Independent Police Oversight Authority is investigating the entire scene of crime. And they are going to tell us exactly what happened with the CCTVs. And if there is anyone who was involved in that, then punishment must be meted to an officer of that nature. So the same case applies to the question, who are these police officers who committed the crime of murder to the late Albert OJWANG? Again, we are waiting for answers from IPOA, who are right now investigating the same. And we are looking forward to the resolution of that issue soonest possible, because it's something that have actually captured the entire country into what happened on that date. The question from Honorable Senator Kajwang. Now, this question of withdrawing and apologizing to the Senate and the country on the question of the late OJWANG, OJWANG having committed, hit his head on the walls. I think, as I said from the word go, we allow the IPOA to investigate. and they are going to give us concrete answers. Because I have already indicated that in the subsequent media briefings that I did, that situation was actually corrected.
IG.
On whether...
IG, you need to respond to that question in a better way. This was the question by Senator KANJA, that through your official communication, the first information you put out there to the public was that the young man had hit his head against the wall and therefore died. Later on, after the autopsy was carried out, it was found to be totally different. The question that the senator then rose to ask was, would you, having put that communication to the public that the young man hit his head on the wall and died, would you withdraw that particular communication and proceed to apologize to the nation? That was the question the Honorable Senator asked. If you're unable to do that, you can also, that's also an answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On that question, let me say this. Number one, if in the ongoing investigations by the IPOA investigators, we get to know the truth, the officers who issued the initial report that we relied upon, then they will have to face disciplinary proceedings as provided for by the regulations by providing incorrect information. So we are awaiting the outcome of the investigations of IPOA in that.
IG, we've had the benefit of hearing the representative of IPOA in the morning, and they were very categorical on what caused the death of this young man. What more do you want to hear?
Mr. Speaker, sir, from what we have heard here from the IPOA, although we have not yet gotten that report, we will proceed on and take appropriate measures on the officer who gave the primary report on that material day.
We have taken note. IG, proceed.
Then there was also the second question.
Honorable Senators, I think we are doing pretty well now. We are doing very well. What is your intervention, Honorable Mungatana? Now, IG, the reason why you are attracting a lot of intervention is because you do not want to open up and just tell the senators exactly what happened. We are here to hear the truth. Just give us the truth, and there'll be minimal interventions. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for the current IGP. In fact, a very professional police officer. But I wanted to remind him, the Constitution has given us, under Article 238, the principles of national security. And Mr. Speaker, on 238(2)(c, it says, in performing the functions and exercising their powers, national security organs shall respect the diverse culture of the communities within Kenya. And Honorable Senator Kajwang has said, to imply suicide from his cultural background, it is attracting a huge stigmatization of that family. So I'm inviting the IGP to offer an unconditional apology to the Senate in view of the post-mortem report that has been made public, and then we proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Mungatana is clear. IG.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is true, as Senator Mungatana has said, that going by the report that we have gotten from IPOA, that it is not true, he did not hit his head against the wall, but that is the report that we had from the word go. I tell my apology on behalf of the National Police Service because of that information. So there was also the question of how the police are trained. That question was clearly answered by my CS. He also did mention that funds is also another constraint that has been delivering the National Police Service to enable us to train everybody within the service. Then there was also the question of how many were in the cell. There was also the question of how many were in the cell where Albert was held. Again, Mr. Speaker, sir, this question again will also be answered very clearly in the investigations by the IPOA of how many were actually in that cell. The questions by Senator Omugeni. As I have indicated, I myself am a parent. My other senior level commanders, they are all parents. By losing OJWANG, it pains me, it pains them. It is not right to lose them in a police cell. Now, when he arrived, or when he was brought in from Homa Bay, he was given an opportunity to call his family back home. As I did indicate from my statement that I was providing, where he did indicate to his wife that they had reached Central Police Station safely and he was safe. So that one confirms that when he reached Central Police Station, he was all right by his own statement to his own family that he was fine. So the second question is about why was OJWANG booked alone in the cells. As I have indicated there earlier, this is something that we are going to be provided with answers by the investigating agency, because these are some of the questions that it must answer. The questions that were raised by Honorable Senator Wabua.
IG, 2 minutes ago you're doing fairly well, but I can see there's a relapse. The question was, why was this young man booked alone in a cell? And your response, if I got you correctly, is that matter is under investigation.
Yes.
Really, is that your response?
Yes. The matter is to establish the correct position.
Senator KANJA.
Mr. Speaker, I'm assuming that the IG is proceeding sequentially. and he has conveniently avoided 2 questions that I asked. And that was why the Deputy Inspector General of Police is still in office when he was very quick to interdict or to give directives for junior officers to be out on the basis of the proximate cause theory. And I also asked a very specific question that came out of his submission, that there were other names. There were other 4 persons of interest. Are they alive? Or are they in a ditch somewhere? Are they at City Mortuary? He's supposed to tell us that if he's going sequentially. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, IG.
In regard to the question that was asked by Honorable Senator KANJA about whether to reassure the House that all the 4 that were mentioned are alive. I'm going to give an answer, but the rest of the details will also be provided for by the DCI. To say this, there was one suspect who was arrested, and by that time he had been placed at Kamukoji police station. When the file went before the ODPP raised issues that needed to be covered. Thereafter, the suspect was set free until such a time when the file goes back to the ODPP and he gives his recommendations. As for the rest, none of them had been arrested. So we believe they are still out there. About why the DIG is still in the office, the reason why I did not go back to that question, it is because the CS had given actually an answer on the same. He did respond.
Yes, proceed, IG. Proceed. We need to save on time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So that question of why OJWANG was booked alone in the cells, as I have answered right now. We are saying.
Honorable Senators, the IG has responded to that question. His answer may not be satisfactory, but it's an answer. That is what he replied. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The questions that were raised by Honorable Senator Wabua. He first of all registered displeasure of the absence of the chair IPOA. I think that one was recorded. The questions that were directed to the IG is when at the Central Police Station, Albert was booked again alone in the cell. And I have answered that question there before. I have answered the question.
IG, can you repeat your response to that question so that it's clear?
My response to that question, I have indicated that why he was booked in that cell alone, it is something that we need the investigating team to also let us know, because there are a number of cells that are at the Central Police Station. And now, at that particular time, I don't have the figures of those who are actually under the custody of those cells. But in the investigation, in the course of the investigations, we are going to get out the answers very, very clearly, Honorable Speaker.
IG, your CS has tabled the police standing orders, which are very clear on how to handle a suspect, book him in, and all that. Under what circumstances, and that is what the senators would wish to know, under what circumstances can a suspect be put in a solitary confinement? And did this young man fit the description so as to be put in a solitary confinement?
Honorable Speaker, once again, thank you very much. The CS have actually tabled the standard operating procedures through which the procedure that the police follow actually when someone is being placed in the cells, somebody has been arrested, brought in, the recording of the OBs, the recording actually in the cell register, and the number of even those suspects that are held in a particular cell is also very clear. So what I am not very, very sure of as at now is, and I'm looking forward to the investigation of the IPOA, why is it that he was alone in that cell? Is it that we had more cells? Is it that we did not have others who are there? So we are waiting for that question from IPOA.
Proceed, IG. Honorable Senators, let him conclude. We'll get better responses from IPOA. But before you proceed, IG, what's your intervention, Senator Handago?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just needed some small clarification, Honorable Speaker. I thought in the morning I heard the IPOA say, in the progress they have made, they have also recorded a statement from one of the detainees. And maybe the clarification is, was that detainee in the same cell with OJWANG? So that the question of whether OJWANG was actually in the cell alone. Can we marry the two? Because IPOA is here and police is here.
Yes, proceed, IG.
Then there was also this question, again from Honorable Senator Wabua, which he asked, how did the OCS confirm Albert OJWANG was fine when he was booked in? So again, that question goes back to the earlier question that I had answered, that when he reached the police station, when he was brought in at the Central Police Station, he was given an opportunity to talk to his spouse, where he did confirm that they had arrived safely and he is fine. And that record is actually in the occurrence book, and it was done by those officers who are at the report office at the Central Police Station. So that is actually the confirmation that he was fine when he reached the police station.
Certainly, it cannot be a point of order, Senator Onyonka. You may put forth your intervention.
Thank you. IG, there's a gentleman who was the OCPD of that police station at Central, Mr. Benjamin Talam. Are you aware that he refused to book Mr. OJWANG when he was brought in, and that is why he was taken to the hospital? And in today's newspaper, he said he refused to accept him because the condition in which he was in, he would not have been accepted into the cells, according to his training.
Mr. Speaker, sir, according to the information that I have, the late Albert OJWANG was booked in at the police station, Central Police Station, at 9:35 hours in the evening. and placed in the cells. Then the OCS, who is responsible for that station, was informed of the same. So the other one from the Honorable Senator, that one I'm not aware.
Honorable Senators, I'm taking note, and Senator Wambua, I'll come back to you. Just run through the questions that you have. For those ones that we feel are not satisfactorily answered, we will certainly have an opportunity, Senator Boni. Just proceed. Yes, Senator Boni.
Mr. Speaker, the public and the Senate are expecting that the witnesses we have this afternoon will shed light. And that light can only come out of the quality of the evidence that they are adducing. Mr. Speaker, there is something called a hostile witness. When a witness deliberately, with due respect to KANJA, either becomes economical with the truth or attempts to evade a question, he's being hostile. What is the value of this exercise if the IG, who is supposed to have convinced himself on how OJWANG was handled, how can he be the same one now deflecting that responsibility to IPOA? He's supposed to give evidence in the same manner he'll give to IPOA when IPOA will call him to appear before them, Mr. Speaker.
I know, Honorable Senators, the beauty of this is that we have all the players before us. He has shifted the burden to IPOA. IPOA is right before us. They will take to this stand, and they will go through exactly the responses that have been put forth by the IG. If the IPOA representative wasn't here, then a lot would have left hanging. So, Honorable Senators, let us be patient. Let us be patient. Let us be patient. Proceed.
Much, Honorable Speaker. Maybe I can just read a small part of my earlier statement. That
just pick the question and respond so that we move.
So the question that had been asked here is, I would like to reply as follows. When they arrived at Central Police Station in Nairobi at approximately 21:17 hours, and at 21:24 hours, Mr. Albert OJWANG contacted his wife via mobile number that is also provided there to inform her of his safe arrival. Chief Inspector Taram, the officer commanding the police station, was contacted through his mobile phone. The number is also provided, and they authorized the booking of PC Mohammed Rashid Hiro Abdurai booked the suspect into the cells after confirming his normal physical and mental state was okay. Filed OB number 136/07/06/2025, which was done at 21:35 hours. That is the information that I have, Honorable Speaker, on that note. There was also the question of who interfered with the CCTV cameras at the station. Honorable Speaker, this question is amongst the many questions that the investigating agency, who are actually looking, who deals with matters, criminal activities by police, to give us an answer on that one, so that we can actually now be able to take appropriate measures with anyone who interfered with the normal settings of the CCTVs around that station. There was also the question from Honorable Senator Veronica. The first question was, who deleted the Albert X account? Again, this question is going to be answered very clearly by the DCI. Who interfered with the CCTV cameras? And whether there is a backup of the same. So on the CCTV cameras, Honorable Speaker, is as I've indicated that we are waiting for the investigations to let us know who is it that actually did that kind of interference. On the issue of whether we have a backup or not, we have already given some experts an assignment on that, and we are going to get that report very soon when we are still here. And then the last one is that question of all police officers must at all times ensure that the rights of the suspects are respected. That is our standard operating procedures. For those who defeated away from that, then they must face the full wrath of the law. That is our position. That the officers, police officers must at all times respect the rights and freedoms of the people, whether they are suspects or not. I'm saying this because, Honorable Senator, police officers are at the forefront in the defense of the rights and freedoms of the people. So any officer who turns against that, he goes against the same law that he is supposed to protect. And they are, all of them, they are aware, out there in all the stations, in all the deployment throughout the Republic, that the rights of suspects, the rights of the other Kenyans must be protected at all times. So as I have said, anyone who goes against that, then he must face the full wrath of the law. The questions from Honorable Senator Duro. Honorable Duro requested that I provide all the documentary evidences of the letters that the DIG did to the DCI. We have them, and I want to promise that by tomorrow, when we are attending the Committee of Senate, we will be having those documents with us. She did ask the same question: why does the police have to drive all the way from Homa Bay, the suspect from Homa Bay to Nairobi? That is, as I have answered there earlier, and the DCI is also going to give additional details on the same. The questions by Senator Abbas, Honorable Senator Abbas. Again, he was actually asking the same question, that there are several police stations along the line that the suspects was, driven from Homa Bay to Nairobi. There are many police stations along the line. So the question is, why is it that he could not be placed in any of these police stations along that transport corridor? My answer is, as earlier stated, that number one, the offense was committed in Nairobi, and that is actually the area of jurisdiction. That is basically the reason why the suspect was actually brought to Nairobi. Then there was also this question from Honorable Senator Haji, where he asked, why is it that the investigations could not be conducted elsewhere where the suspect was arrested? So the answer to that question is that the offense was again committed in Nairobi. That's the reason why the suspect was driven from Homa Bay to Nairobi. The last bit where Honorable Senator Newton, he asked why is it that the investigations have been done so fast? So again, he wanted to know who actually killed the late Albert Ojwang. As I had answered there earlier, Honorable Senator, I'm eagerly waiting to know amongst those officers who are on duty or any other officer who are involved in that transaction, who is it that did, or who is it, or who are they that are involved in the cold-blooded murder of Albert Ojwang. Then there's this question of since when did the police start assessing the well-being of suspects? That question, if you look at our occurrence book, it has got several columns. And in one of the columns, there is the physical state and also even the weather. So we do indicate in that particular column, how is the suspect looking like? Even the weather, if it is raining, we say it is raining. If it is chilly, it is cold. So they are there, they are provided for in that occurrence book, Honorable Senator. So it is on that basis, after he also spoke with the spouse, it was also confirmed that he did confirm that I'm okay and I have arrived safely in Nairobi. So based on that, the OB recorder recorded the same in the occurrence book. And it is there actually to be seen by everybody. The last question from Honorable Senator Nyutu was again, why was Ojwang transported all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi?
Yeah, you've already responded to
I have already responded
This
to
is the 10th time. Just pick a new one, and you conclude IG, so that we hear IPOA.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I'm already through with the questions. Thank you.
Just hold on IG. I think that few questions that you may have noted down. Just remind the IG of your question.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you ask, and if you ask and you're not answered, so it's fair that we remind the IG the questions that have not been answered. When IG, I asked a very specific question on the events of the 5th of June. That was a very specific question, and I don't want to repeat the question. I'm sure it has rung back in your mind that I said that on the 5th of June, so much happened, and the officers were in Kisii by 12:55. That question I had asked, and you have not answered. And finally, why you chose Bagadia and not Kenyatta National Hospital? That was, yeah.
Honorable Methu, the IG responded to that question. You know,
now,
I think what you need is the second limb of Senator Methu's question, is that the time computation does not add up. What do you say to that?
For that one, Honorable Speaker, the DCI have got a unit that deals with serious crimes. And in that unit, although he is going to give details on that one, in that unit, he has those who records the statements, those who are investigating on other bits of, every continuing investigations. So that's the reason why you find that once it has been confirmed, for example, by the CK, has been confirmed by the EACC, then there is this team that moves immediately and effects, for example, the arrest. So that is basically the reason why you find that it is really not the same team that is seated at the DCI there that is doing all that, but it is one unit. So the information is passed to the other teams that are there.
Honorable Matthew, I think he has passed the buck to IPOA and DCI. Exactly. So wait until DCI or IPOA, then they may be able to take that. So, honorable senators, let us now have IPOA take the stand. Senator Haji, you will. We still have all the witnesses around, you will. Exactly. Proceed, Senator Haji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is an unusual sitting. It is sort of like a special sitting, an extraordinary sitting. The rules are not very clear, Mr. Speaker, and I would really wish that you would make a ruling so that we can proceed with speed and conclude in time. Mr. Speaker, if you allow everybody to ask a supplementary question, we will be here for a very long time. And we are not here, Mr. Speaker, as far as my understanding, to cross-examine the individuals that are here, appearing here today. If we were informed that that is the case, then we would have been here very well prepared to cross-examine every answer that is submitted to this House. So, Mr. Speaker, and also not to forget that this matter has also been referred to the committee. I don't know what you expect the committee to do, what work to do, if we are going to handle everything here today. And we don't have the time. So, Mr. Speaker, I indulge that you make a ruling so that we can move with speed and give opportunities to the senators who have not spoken today to also ask questions to the individuals that are here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I was very clear on on the procedure to adopt going forward. And I said we're going to hear all the witnesses. Thereafter, I was going to allow senators to ask for clarifications or ask questions. We did the first round before we adjourned for lunch. When I came back, the way forward I had communicated was, before we take the second round of senators, we allowed the witnesses to respond to the questions or clarification sought that were directed to them. Once we are done with that, we will take the second round of senators. Now, the problem is there are some questions that honorable senators have posed that have not found satisfactory answers. That those questions that honorable senators have posed, whom the IG has referred to IPOA. We are not here to cross-examine anybody. We are simply asking questions and clarifications from the witnesses that are here. So, honorable senators, I would urge us to do this. We step down the IG. A lot of his responses were actually shoved towards either IPOA or DCI. Allow the DCI. Allow the DCI because the IPOA will combine DCI and IG. So let us allow DCI to take the stand. Now, honorable senators, for us to make progress, let us minimize the interventions. Yeah, okay? Honorable senators, let us allow DCI to proceed to respond to the questions sought. And as the DCI does that, please let us not have any interventions so that we make progress. Proceed, DCI.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Senator and Honorable Speaker. And I would like also to appreciate Honorable Speaker and the members for giving me this opportunity to respond to some of the issues raised on the floor, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, an Honorable Senator has actually appealed to my religious faith. And I would like to categorically confirm that I fully understand the religious implications of swearing by the Holy Quran. I cannot please a human being so as to displease my Creator. So mine is to reaffirm that whatever I've said before the Senate and whatever I'm going to say shall be the truth and the whole truth, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, some of the issues that I'll be addressing to have been raised. It is cross-cutting. So I may not be able to attribute the questions to a particular senator. I wish to confirm that it is true that just like any other citizen, the DIG KPS, Mr. Lagat, filed his complaint with the DCI in view of the very, very serious allegations touching on the integrity both on the office and on the person of the DIG KPS. And with those very, very serious allegations, his only recourse, Honorable Speaker, was to report the matter to the DCI, which is the investigative agency of the National Police Service, so as to investigate those allegations to its logical conclusion. There was nothing extraordinary with that report, Honorable Speaker. We have in the past received and investigated similar complaints from senior government officials, senators, members of parliament, and the investigative process has always remained the same. We receive the report, we investigate with a view to identify the culprits, and we take appropriate action. So the complaint by the DIG KPS, Mr. Lagat, was subjected to the same due process, Honorable Speaker, and there wasn't any preferential treatment as such. So I wish to confirm to this august House that throughout the subsistence of our investigations, the DIG KPS never interfered with the investigations whatsoever. Relating to the complaint letter and the statement, just like the IG has said, we are ready and willing to avail the same before this august House. The question on why the deceased, may his soul rest in peace, was transferred from Homa Bay to Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, the CPC Section 71, Cap 75, is very, very clear on the places of trial and jurisdictions. Ordinary places of trial for an offense is determined where the crime was committed. Our courts also do have jurisdictions, save for those courts that do have or enjoy inherent jurisdictions. For this particular matter, Your Honorable Speaker, the offense we believe was committed in Nairobi, but the arrest was done in Homa Bay County, and that's why the deceased had to be driven all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi. You may also wish to know that offenses of cybercrime, Honorable Speaker, have a national jurisdiction as there's no way of justifying the place it has been perpetrated. It is an offense that can be committed even when somebody is on a journey. So it has a national jurisdiction. Senator Kalwale alluded to the fact that we did not have a court order. And I would like to state very clearly, Honorable Speaker, that we do not require a court order to move a suspect from one police jurisdiction to another police jurisdiction. We don't require a court order. For this, for the deceased, he was booked at Mawega Police Station, that is Homa Bay, and booked out at 16:00 hours. And he was booked at Central Police Station 21:32 hours. There was an allegation that why we could not provide the CCTVs at the DCI offices in Mawega. I wish to confirm that we don't have a DCI offices in Mawega. It is a recently elevated police station from a police post, and we don't have the presence of a CCTV there. I further wish to confirm, Honorable Speaker, that the deceased was treated with utmost humility throughout the journey, all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi by the arresting officers. Indeed, while at Narok, he asked for refreshments, and he was given some refreshments by the arresting officers. Like I said, Honorable Speaker, he was booked at Central Police Station at 21:32. At 21:24, the deceased was given an opportunity while at Central Police Station to talk to his wife. One Nefnin Apondi, on cell phone number 075808161, registered under one George Onyango, who apparently was the father. The vehicle that was used to ferry the deceased from Homa Bay County to Nairobi was a DCI vehicle, GKC519B Subaru Forester. And I can confirm, Honorable Speaker, without any fear of contradiction, that from Homa Bay, the suspect was driven straight to Central Police Station and nowhere else. And for this, we can technically confirm even the movement of the Subaru vehicle by using the GPS system. Some members were alluding to the fact that maybe the suspect was taken to DCI headquarters, and nothing can be far from the truth. From Homa Bay, he was taken straight to Central Police Station, where he was booked in the cells. And the actual booking, the digital booking, was done by the report office personnel. That via OB 136-76-2025 at 21:32, and it says that the suspect was placed in cells while appearing no more. And that was captured digitally. So there's no room for human manipulation. It has further been confirmed that before the booking, the report office personnel called the OCS. And it's unfortunate it is being said that Talam, Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, is the OCS and not the OSPD. That he declined to book the suspect. Talam is the officer commanding Central Police Station. And from the totality of things, he should be treated as a prime suspect in the matter. So, a question was raised about the whereabouts of the DCI arresting officers. Honorable Chair, I would like to first state that the fact in issue here is what caused and who caused the death of the late Albert OJWANG. We are not talking about the circumstances that led to his arrest from Bungoma, from Homa Bay, Honorable Chair. The arrest was legitimate and it was lawful. And he was arrested for legitimate reasons in view of the complaint and the subsequent revelations by our investigations. So, we know where the DCI officers are. They are actively on duty, Honorable Speaker. And they are available, if required, by IPOA for interrogation, for interview. And Honorable Speaker, if the investigation establishes that they participated in the killing of the deceased, then the law should take its course and suitable action be taken against them. In regard to one Kevin Moinde who was arrested and detained at Kamukunji Police Station, the Inspector General has very, very well elucidated that it is true he was arrested, and we forwarded the file to the DPP, who said that we did not cover certain points. And on the basis of that, he was released unconditionally until such a time when we cover some of the points raised by the ODPP. In regard to the other two, we did not arrest them. We don't know where they are, and we cannot confirm whether they are dead or alive, because these are characters we have never interacted with them at all. Honorable Speaker, it is true that the ECC confirmed the same day that our officers were in Homa Bay. When we are conducting investigations, Honorable Speaker, we task this division of labor. We give the teams specific tasks. We have the action teams. We have the teams that do the interviews, the interrogations, the writing of the correspondences, the compilation of the file. So it is not the same team that collected the correspondence from EACC, the same team that arrested the suspect from Homa Bay. And then finally, there was the aspect of the who deleted the social media account. Honorable Speaker, this issue came after the fact of the murder. and we got this in the social media. And I believe in their investigations, because we are not the ones having the conduct of the investigations. This should be an area that should interest the IPOA team to find out, besides other issues, who actually deleted the social media account and why and when. I think those are issues that can be sufficiently addressed by the IPOA investigations. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I want to rest my submission there unless there's any other question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, IG. Just before you take your seat, the question as to why the young man was arrested in Homa Bay, not charged in Homa Bay, but transferred all the way to Nairobi, was asked to the IG. His response was that the crime was committed in Nairobi. That was the response of the IG. The same questions was directed to you, DCI, and this was your response, that the crime under the Cyber Crime Act is a crime of a national jurisdiction, meaning it can be tried anywhere. If indeed that is the case, having arrested this young man in Homa Bay with a crime of national jurisdiction, why was he brought to Nairobi?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. When we are making the decision to determine where to take a suspect, there are several variables that we consider. One is the logistics and the investigation convenience. If we say that we take him to a court in Homa Bay, and majority of the witnesses are in Nairobi, the forensic lab evidence is in Nairobi, the complainant is in Nairobi. So because of that, and because of the logistic reasons, that's why sometimes we find it more convenient to have the suspect charged here in Nairobi instead of wasting a lot of resources going to Homa Bay. And that is provided for in our service standing orders, Honorable Speaker.
Let's hear IPOA. You may take your seat, DCI.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I was asked 4 questions, and the first one was from the Leader of Majority on the status of the young man as he left Homa Bay to Nairobi. And Honorable Speaker, the documents that we have obtained from Central Police Station, which include the OB, indicate that he was booked in as of good health. We also have the statements from the 5 arresting officers, the DCI officers, who alleged that he spoke to the wife before he was booked in. And in regard to that, we have written to Safaricom to be able to obtain the call log to verify whether it's true he spoke to the wife at the same time. And also, once we have the family statements, which are meant to be taken tomorrow, the same indication will come out clearly. The other thing that would have shown his condition clearly, Chair, is the CCTV, which in our report we have indicated was tampered with. And from the forensic report, the forensic experts that we have at the authority, it's very clear that the CCTV was working, because the first thing the forensic expert and the investigating officer noted when they got into Central Police was that the power was not connected to the power cable of the CCTV was not connected to the socket. But on connecting it, the CCTV came back. But on trying to review the previous day's events, there was nothing. So it is very clear that the CCTV was tampered with, and we have referred the same to an expert to be able to retrieve the data. And on whether the retrieval will be successful will depend on if it was the hard disk that was removed or was just it was just a rest. So we are waiting for that, Honorable Speaker. There was also a question on the police stations which have CCTV. On the judgment of one Judge Ogola, he gave recommendations to us and also to the IG on the importance of having CCTVs at the cells, and we are pursuing that. And there was also a recommendation from, I think, LSK on the same. So we are pursuing that, and we have also done inspections and written recommendations to the IG on that. And I want to commend the IG because during his interrogation for the job, he spoke of the importance of having officers having body cams as they do their work. This would also be an avenue where we would have seen what really transpired. So I believe these are some of the reviews and some of the reforms that we would want to see NPS taking up. The other question was on the officers who are interdicted, what we are doing about them as an authority. And I had indicated in my report that the 6 officers were to report today for statement writing at the authority headquarters. And during lunchtime, I've confirmed they have reported and their statements were being taken. 8 of them, including the OCS, had already taken the statements. So of the 6, the authority saw 9 more, 11 more being persons of interest, who are officers who are also around in the central police station, and they'll also be taken in for for statement writing. There was also a question on how long we think as an authority we can give the same case to ODPP for prosecution. Honorable Speaker, with deliberation with my team, our legal team and our investigators, if you're given less than 10 days, we will be able to have all the reports ready, given that we have around 4 or 5 things that we need to conclude. And Honorable Chair, we had given, we had a bill in front of this House through JILAC, that is Honorable Sigei's committee, on powers to arrest and prosecute. There was a question on why the officers have not been arrested. So these are still powers that we are seeking as an authority, because if given these powers, we'll be able to arrest and also prosecute. Immediately we are done with our investigation. And Honorable Speaker, we are committed. As the CS said, nobody is above the law. Our act as IPOA gives us mandate and powers to summon anyone, including the IG, for statement taking. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Let us hear from the National Police Service Commission. Let him say for the record.
Thank you, Speaker. I don't think there was a question directed to the National Police Service Commission, but I just want to say two things. On the issue that has been alluded by the CS Interior and even the IG himself, we have had situations where the IG wants to do promotions, but officers have not undertaken the requisite career progression courses. And when the CS says there is more need to try and pool resources so that these trainings can be facilitated. And finally, that we are in discussions. It's the National Police Service Commissions which approves the curriculum, and therefore with all the other stakeholders. Once it is developed, then it is the mandate of the Commission to approve that curriculum if there are new changes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Now, once Senator Seeger, you have the floor, you will seek that and ask your question, because you are doing the second round of questions. Now, honorable senators, if you can be direct to the questions, we'll save a lot of time. I am persuaded to put a time within which to ask your question. So within a maximum of 3 minutes. A maximum of 3 minutes. If you want to make a speech, you'll need 5. But if you need to ask clarification, 3 should be enough. Senator Ali Roba. Senator Ali Roba.
Thank you very much.
Senator Ali Roba, just take your seat. I remember that Senator Nyutu had not concluded when we adjourned. So conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll take under 1 minute. I was stood down by the point of order by Majority Leader. And my last question actually was to IPOA. And I wanted to ask them how safe they are investigating people who have power to arrest and carry firearms. And Mr. Speaker, because I say this because Lawyer Willie Kimani was doing exactly what IPOA does, and he lost his life. So what is the security guarantee for IPOA? And DIG did not get my question, Mr. Speaker. He's saying that I claimed that investigation about this death has been speedy. I was talking about investigation about the claim made by DIG Lagat. It was speeded up. That is what I meant. And finally, to CS MURKOMEN, he said, he quoted to 245. Why we are demanding that DIG Lagat steps aside, it is because he is a police officer, and this matter revolves around him. So you cannot liken this to a complaint that is made by a senator or somebody else. This is a police officer who can interfere and who can command even people, the officers that are investigating. So it needs to be made clear. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Christopher Seeger.
That's very brilliant.
Thank you, Speaker. The clarification that I sought, which is not part of my 3 minutes, I hope, Speaker, was that the question was asked of whether Albert OJWANG was alone or with others in the cell. And the IG said that that would be answered by the DCI and or IPOA, and neither of them answered that question. So that was the clarification that I was seeking. And it was further highlighted by Senator Mandago, who said that there is a detainee witness statement that IPOA took that would probably shed light on whether he was alone or with others. That is the clarification. My first question, Speaker. Who issued, this is to DCI, who issued the orders for Albert to be driven from Homa Bay all the way to Nairobi? I would like to know who issued the particular instruction for that to happen and not to process him in Homa Bay. Next, the DIG personally, we have been informed, recorded a complaint. And who took down that complaint? I would like to know from the DCI as well. And who else recorded a statement in support of the allegations made by the DIG? That is also to DCI. Next is to the IG. I know that the IG Speaker already has said that many of the questions will be answered or will be revealed once the investigations are complete, but this one perhaps he can answer directly. This is to the IG. You said in your first media brief that the cause of death was that he hit his head on the wall, Albert, and you've just clarified that was wrong information given to you by the primary report by an officer. Who was this officer who gave you this false information that you then issued in your first media briefing that, that misled the country as of the cause of death. That is what I want to know. And the reason I ask this is because if someone saw and alleged that he had repeatedly hit his head on the walls.
Senator Tobiko. Okay, Senator Asige, don't worry, I'll take care of that. Just have your seat. Senator Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief because a number of questions that I had have already been answered in the process. Mr. Speaker, because the DCI said the crime was perpetrated in Nairobi, that's why the suspect was brought to Nairobi. Yet cybercrime, social media, including X-Space, is not necessarily domiciled in Nairobi. It is still baffles, Mr. Speaker, why the suspect was brought to Nairobi. But now that that happened, and he seems to have paid for his crime through his life. What then, Mr. Speaker, will be the recourse for a murder of this young man who has been murdered by the police? What will then be, the recourse for the family and for Kenyans in general, Mr. Speaker? Because there seems to be a crime on top of another crime, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I had also wanted, but the lady from IPOA has responded, I had wanted to know whether the interdicted officers have recorded their statements and what is the account of the account of the deceased since he was brought to the station. What was his situation when he was brought to the station? But she said those statements were being taken today in the afternoon, so maybe that will then we will get to know later on. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to know whether the officers at the station, that is the report office, the cell sentry, record at the OB, if they clearly stated the status or the health situation of the deceased before he was booked in. Mr. Speaker, it is also of interest to this House to know how many hours it took to pick Mr. OJWANG from his home to, what was the name of that police station? The first police station. Mawega, and then from Mawega to Nairobi. How many hours? Because that seems to have had so many hours in between, so that we know whether that is normal or whether there was a detour to some other place before he was finally booked into Nairobi. And then, Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to know the normal situation. Do police arrest to investigate, or they investigate, forward the case to ODPP, then the DPP recommends the arrests? What is the normal situation, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Muma. Senator Muma.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll be very quick. First, policy questions to the CS. CS, whatever you might call law or policy in Kenya, it would seem it doesn't work for police excesses. But in your speech, you seem to suggest that currently we are out of the woods on matters police excesses. I would want to ask, do you have any policy review proposals around issues of abductions and extrajudicial killings? Secondly, what is your view about commissions of inquiry and inquests as tools that would be used to investigate police excesses. Finally, for you, does the police have any curriculum on human rights approaches to service delivery? CS, that is different from human rights. Human rights approaches is about how you apply human rights in service delivery. For the IG, DCI, IPOA, severally and together, first, the offense of publication. Why did you not, or why do you not consider inviting the person you think has offended to come to the police station for you to ask them questions? Why do you need to deploy a whole vehicle, and you're complaining about resources, all the way to arrest one person? Secondly, IG, it will be good for you to, communication director issued, I don't think it's reached 3, even 2 minutes, please. What your communication director issued is actually, I want you to confirm again that it was a false statement that he issued. Thirdly, does IPOA have an independent forensic lab where you're going to carry your...
Senator Kinyua.
Asanti, Bwana Speaker. Swali langu ni kwa DIG Kanja. Ninauliza ya kwamba kwa sababu walipomfikisha Albert Ojwang, walipomfikisha pale Central Police Station, tayari yule ambaye ni afisa mkuu wa pale katika ile police station ambaye anaitwa Talam hakuwako. Inasemekana alipigiwa simu kuulizwa kama atakubali yule Albert Ojwang aweze kuwekwa katika ile seli. Ni utaratibu wa katika polisi zetu, yeye afisa ambaye anasimamia station awe akiulizwa kama mtu yoyote ambaye analetwa katika police station awekwe ndani au la. Hilo ni swali langu la kwanza. Swali la pili, ya kwamba hawa maafisa ambao walikuwa pale ikiwemo Talam tayari wamesimamishwa kazi. Na Talam hakuwa katika, yeye makosa yake ni kuwa yeye ndiye afisa mkuu katika ile police station ya Central. Tutafika mwisho wapi kuwasimamisha watu kazi, kwa sababu kulingana na mwendo huo afisa mkuu wa polisi wa Nairobi, kwa sababu ako na mamlaka, anapaswa kusimamishwa kazi. Siye huyo peke yake, afisa mkuu wa polisi katika Jamhuri ya Kenya anapaswa kusimamishwa kazi. Kabla tufike hapo,
lower the government's borrowing costs. Honorable Speaker, why is it difficult? Why? And we know actually that is one of the panacea that we can use to consolidate funds and stop this problem of cash flows that we have, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Another very important thing that I would like to speak about, Honorable Speaker, apart from the single treasury account, is we have an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to redeem this country. Our multilateral lenders, we have seen, Honorable Speaker, us passing laws. I remember the interest bill. What was the name of that interest bill, Honorable Speaker? The one that we passed recently here. You know, that bill, there's conflict of interest bill that we are passing here. Most probably some multilateral or bilateral lenders were pushing this bill in our throat because of funding. Because of funding, Honorable Speaker. Because we want to look for money. And therefore we are told, these unpalatable things you must pass, you must do this and this and this, because we must rely on some multilateral lending and loans and all that. And therefore, as a country, we have to be pushed through a path that we do not like. But I want to say in this August House, Honorable Speaker, if we consolidate all our funds, if we have one single treasury account, if we are careful about the loans that we are borrowing, we may not have to go to multilateral lenders, Honorable Speaker. Mwai Kibaki did it. The Honorable Mwai Kibaki did it. And I think it can still be done. I think we can still run this economy, the 6th largest in Africa, on funds that are available and not even raise single tax with, you know, if we do all these things, Honorable Speaker, we can bring down the tax, we can bring down VAT, we can bring down payslip taxes and all those kind of things and still manage this economy. I believe, Honorable Speaker, it is very possible. The only problem is we are careless in our borrowing. And even when we get the money, we are not even ready to implement those projects. That money lies in our accounts, and then we go back. We borrow money that has been loaned to us. So you actually pay double loan, interest and commitment fees, and then you also go back to the same bank again and borrow to pay salaries, Honorable Speaker. We need to find a way. Honorable Speaker, what is wrong with even having one county government account? One single county government. So that because one county government has money, a lot of it they're not using. Another county government, Honorable Speaker, does not have money. They go to a bank and borrow money that is there from another county, which is still government money. Honorable Speaker, we need to have a fiscal consolidation at another level to save us from always paying a lot of money and continue to borrow. The circle of borrowing, Honorable Speaker, unless we are careful, we shall continue that way and we will not move this country forward. I want to thank the committee for a job well done. Honorable Shuri, you are doing a very, very good job. If I was the boss, I would have given you something. But I think I will do that next time. But thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and this country must move forward without debt. I thank you.
Honorable Makale Mulu, member for Kitui Central.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank my chairman. I think I'm 2 months old out of that committee, and I must appreciate the good work they have done. And I also want to thank the Deputy Majority Leader for being candid. That's what Kenyans expect from all of us as members of Parliament, telling the country the truth. Honorable Speaker, the date is at March 2025 is 11.6 trillion. Out of that, you find over the years, we have been having more external debt than domestic debt. But now the ratios seem to have changed, Honorable Speaker. We are doing now 46% external, 54% domestic, which means we are borrowing more domestically. If you look at the report currently, it is proposing, the proposed debt ratios, the mix, what we call debt mix, is that 2% external, 68% domestic, which means now we rely more on domestic debt as opposed to external debt. The disadvantage with that is that the domestic debt is always more expensive. To make things worse, it has a shorter repayment period. So what will happen to our interest? Interest will keep on increasing, And you realize that even the mix in terms of the share of, in terms of total interest, the share of domestic interest payment will be higher. And I think if we want to manage our debt properly, Honorable Speaker, these are some of the things we must get them right. Honorable Speaker, what has been written in this report, I think it's almost everything is like we've said it before. The issue of commitment fee. Imagine, Honorable Speaker, up to now, this financial year which we are implementing, we have paid commitment fee amounting to about 770 million from July 1st to date. 770 million. Kenyans, I think we really need to do something. And that's why I agree with you, David Majority Leader. You know, Honorable Mbanda has been one of us many, many years. And we have been on these benches together saying these things. Now he's the man holding the steering wheel, but things are not changing. I really want to urge him that things can change, because if they don't change, Honorable Speaker, we have a problem. Issues of counterpart funding, Honorable Speaker. Why do you get a loan and you don't have your local share of the loan so that you continue paying commitment fee? Just poor financial management. Now, the elephant in the room. This animal called securitization, Honorable Speaker. And I really want to thank Chairman for having picked this. What has happened, Kenyans, is that now the government is able to get some money in advance. And the security is the money we expect to collect. For example, we are collecting fuel levy, 70 shillings per litre, and on the base side, because that money will be flowing always, that money now the government can take some money in advance, lump sum, and then the payment will be coming from that levy on a monthly basis. We have already taken that money, and that's the money we have used to pay about 40% to all the contractors for them to move back to continue the works. It sounds excellent, but I can tell you, as somebody who appreciates these financial issues, that the challenge you have with that, and I can see my time is, the challenge we have with that, honorable members, the challenge we have with that, what happens is you are tying your
extra 3 minutes.
You are tying your cash flows in advance for repayments. So what happens if by bad luck this house decides to say we are removing the 7 shillings fuel levy next budget? What happens to the repayments? They will be stuck. You will not be able to move. And that's why we are saying this as an area we need to move very cautiously. We need to be very cautious and move to this direction. The other effect is, which is critical, is in 2 years we'll be having elections. And elections are elections. They can go either way. Assuming we get another government which says we are not going to charge any fuel levy of 7 shillings, or we are not going to continue the force fund, because that's the other area we want to go to. What it means basically then, the other government coming will have a challenge paying this money. And I think we really need to get worried, because it means we've already tied our hands in terms of cash flow. And what will happen is the so-called fiscal consolidation as we move to the future will just become a story. It will never be a reality. And I think really, honorable members, if we want to help this country, time has come when we must all come together and help Treasury get out some of these things. Deputy Majority Leader, you have talked about the single account, single Treasury account. That's the most important account we need in this country. Why can't we tell the Waziri Bandi that unless you have it operational by 1st July, we are not going to discuss anything coming from you? Because it will help this country. As you said, Deputy Majority Leader, we have money lying all over the accounts, government money. And that's the money we are borrowing through buying Treasury bills, Treasury bonds. So the government is using the money to buy their own money, and at the end of the day, you are paying interest. So it makes all of us look very bad. So to me, I think we need to help Treasury so that we get some of these things right for the sake of our country. Honorable members, I want to share with you some experience. About 2 weeks ago, we had a serious conference on debt transparency, aligning legal frameworks to good practice. And in that meeting, we had the former finance minister from Ghana. You are all aware Ghana has restructured their public debt. What they told us, in very clear terms, Kenyans pray God that you'll never go through a debt restructuring. It is a very bad experience. And that's where we are heading, Kenyans. So if it is possible, majority leader, deputy majority leader on this side, we need to make sure that we run away from public debt restructuring as a country, if we want to help our Kenyans. And this will be good for our future generations, colleagues. So there are some things we must do for public interest and put our political interests aside. And by doing that, we'll be helping ourselves, we'll be helping our children, and we'll be helping our future generations, so that when they come to this country, they will be saying, we are honorable members of the 13th Parliament who set the right foundation for financial management of this country. If we go that direction, honorable members, I can tell you we'll be helping this country. So even when I look at this report, and this one I've seen my majority leader coming in. Majority leader, allow me just to address you, please. This House has made such important recommendations, but they're never implemented. Can you help us get these things implemented? For sure, if they are implemented, we'll never talk about borrowing. We'll have enough money in this country to do our things. But as Honorable Shuria has said, bad financial manners are taking us the wrong direction. So can we work as a team and say, whatever recommendation we make here as a House, let's implement them. If we do that, it will be good for this country. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I submit, and I want to thank you for that additional 2 minutes so that I make my submission. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Member for Tharaka Nithi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Tharaka is my constituency, Tharaka Nithi is my county. But both names are suitable, especially with my aspirations now to move to Tharaka Nithi County. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, allow me to support this report by the Committee on Public Debt and Privatization, chaired by the Honorable Shurie. A good job has been done because we need reports like this from time to time so that we know the position of the country when it comes to public debt. We know very well that quite often we are crippled by public debt. And sometimes we are told the country is on the verge of receivership. That is, we are not able to pay our debts, and our lenders may actually make a run on us, as a result of which we would possibly go under, as some countries have actually experienced. There is reprieve that public debt is now going down, and that burden means that there may be money that we would have used for public debt, which will now realize development. We are just in the middle of making the budget, and it is of concern to everybody that most of the revenue we have is for recurrent expense. That recurrent expense includes Consolidated Fund Services, CFS, that is repayment of our debts, whether international, local, or the other recurrent expenses. We need, as a matter of fact, to now look at how much we have and how much we have to spend, both recurrent and on repaying debts, because Kenyans are anxious that they are not seeing development as they should actually be seen. It is important also to commend that as we do this budget, and in spite of every observation made by experts like Honorable Makale Mulu, that we may be buying our own money, we may be trading our own money, there is visibility going to the country and especially rural constituencies of development taking place. That whichever way we have to unlock the stored projects, the stored roads, which have caused anxiety amongst our constituents, that here we are, we were promised this tarmac road, it is started and then went down. At least we are now unlocking part of this money by whatever means to ensure that contractors are back on site and that we are realizing the roads. which we were promised or which we ourselves as leaders promised. We know that interest is a concern, but unfortunately money is expensive and a return for money borrowed is interest. So Honorable Shuri and his committee, as you make recommendations on all the other aspects, look at this interest so that we are able to advise on the most feasible ways of borrowing money, less expensive, whether it is through grants or that we have to realize development through PPPs so that we do not have to incur most of this interest, which is becoming worrisome. There is a pending bill in this House on the amendment of the Treaty Making Agreement Act, so that this House is involved even in agreements, loan agreements, borrowings of more than $1 billion from inception to the end. This, we've said, is a good law because it will ensure that this House monitors how we move ahead with the borrowing. So the recommendations made are good recommendations. Let them not become dead letter recommendations, but recommendations that will help our economy as it grows. With those remarks, I beg to support the adoption of the report.
The Honorable Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me also rise to support the report by the Chairman, Public Debt and Privatization Committee on the report on the Consolidated Fund Services expenditure for the estimates for the financial year 2025-2026. Honorable Speaker, let me start by saying I've perused the report, and let me admit that the committee has been bold enough to tell it as it is, even though there have been a check in the tongue, checked and edited the reality of the matter. One fact that have made it very clear, even though they have tried to put it softly or try to hide the truth, the fact of the matter that public debt has been rising unabated. If you look at the plot, the graphs that are being plotted by various institutions involved in economic matters, it has been a positive trend, meaning public debt has been rising against what we were told by this government during the campaign period. They are going to reduce public debt. Honorable Speaker, and I want the Kenyan people to know that at the moment, it's estimated the public debt stands at 11.36 trillion. That's as far as by 31st March 2025. And Honorable Chair, Speaker, and the member of Power Kenya must know there's been this unending debate about the odious debt, a debt who nobody knows where it is, and a debt nobody knows who procured it, and what it was used to cover. So, Honorable Speaker, there is a growing feeling, and this feeling must be resolved or addressed by the new CS in Treasury, that the actual stock of debt in Kenya is unknown. Whatever we are always being given are being estimates. Honorable Speaker, the report has highlighted very many facts, which we all know, but probably many have been afraid or been afraid to pick them out. Honorable Speaker, and I want to read paragraph 12 of the report, the last sentence. Just basically it says the interest, it has increased tremendously compared to the previous years, but the most serious statement every Kenyan must be aware wherever they are seated. This elevated burden not only heightens interest rate risks, but also crowds out essential government investments and inflates the cost of financing the fiscal deficit. They have told us the economy is doing well. Reality on the ground is different. Second, Honorable Speaker, it clearly says, the report, and I'm not quoting anyone, I'm quoting this report, that there is no relief in the foreseeable future. If you are going to go to paragraph 13, it continuously highlights the challenges facing this economy. And this basically clears states that the interest payment as share of GDP is expected to increase from 3.2 in 2015 to about 5.7, while development expenditure will decline from 7.2% to 3.5%. This inverse trend signals a structural crowding out effect where escalating public debt obligations are displacing capital investments in infrastructure, education, and other development-enabling sectors. The opportunity cost is stark. Resources that could stimulate economic transformation and improve welfare are increasingly diverted towards debt servicing past borrowing. Honorable Speaker, we can't tell it more than we have done. The truth of the matter, we are not doing well. And the earlier we accept it and reflect, the better. And I think the committee must continuously be bold enough and tell it all to avoid this sugarcoating that we have been fed all over, the rhetoric we have been fed all over. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the minority deputy whip is in government and should stop lamenting and get the government working. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Aden Daud.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise also to support this report. I must confess that I'm a member of the committee that has prepared this report. Madam Speaker, a lot has been said about the report by the other speakers, but I want to highlight one thing. In our MTDS, our medium-term debt strategy, we have passed this House has passed a debt strategy mix of 75% domestic borrowing and 25% foreign borrowing. Madam Speaker, the problem with our budgets and problem with getting money from the consolidated fund is normally because of tax collections do not come at the time they are supposed to become. We always have a problem with our tax collection, and therefore we use domestic borrowing to do what we call to buttress our tax collections. It is the committee in its report is urging the National Treasury and the Central Bank to front load the borrowings, the domestic borrowing, so that our cash flow does not become a problem. A lot of ministries and departments have been used to what they call lack of cash flow or lack of exchequer from Treasury. The reason we are lacking exchequer is because our cash flows do not come at the time when ministries and departments are in need of that money. The second thing, Madam Speaker, is the issue of securitization. It is within this report that there is a new animal that the national government is using called securitization. That is borrowing upfront using revenues that are supposed to come. The example of securitization that this country has done so far, and I believe that without approval of Parliament, is the Kenya Roads Board securitization of the RMLF funds of 7 shillings that has been done to repay or to pay pending bills. This kind of borrowing, one, brings contingent liability. We borrow for 10 years, 15 years on monies that we think will come from our road maintenance levy fund. We are, as a country, going green. Our president is the chair of Climate Change, African Head of States Climate Change Forum. We are encouraging our vehicles to be electric or to be green. Yet we are borrowing on monies thinking that we will be using fossil fuel, 7 shillings per liter of fossil fuel. By borrowing, we are creating a debt. And that debt will be borne by the next generation. We are borrowing that money to repay pending bills. It is not for development. It is for pending bills. Therefore, I urge this House to be very aware of the issue of securitization. The Debt Committee will bring more reports on this issue, and the House should at least come up with a policy on how that intergenerational borrowing, we are borrowing now and loading it to the generations to come. Finally, Madam Speaker, the issue of single treasury account. We borrow money through domestic borrowing. All the MDAs are putting their money in banks. That very money from the public is being used by banks to buy bonds and pay interest on that. Because of that, this committee has recommended that we have a single treasury account. This is not the first time we are recommending. We have recommended it last year and the year before. It is time that Parliament, through the Committee on Implementations, become serious and force Treasury to adopt the single treasury account. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Carolia Mondi, member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to raise a few issues as to accuracy of some of the statements in this report, but also to invite the committee to inform the House as to why probably they cannot report on additional matters that I think are pertinent to enable this House to deliberate effectively. Honorable Chair, I have noted under paragraph 90, 91 and 92 that the securitization of the road maintenance levy fund is ongoing. The way it is reported here, it appears that this is a process that is ongoing. But I think over 65 billion has been raised under this securitization program and actually disbursed to the contractors. So it is not clear to me whether this additional 175 billion is additional to the 65 billion that has already been raised. It would be important to get some clarification on this. Honorable Chair. And I share the same sentiments as members of the committee. Securitization is just consuming what you don't have ahead. And all countries that have gone that route, Angola is a classic example that used its oil revenues to securitize and invite Chinese to build 600, 700 kilometers of roads for them and apartments that nobody has ever occupied. It always ends up in tears. But nonetheless, I think this committee would do us more justice if in future they give us a flavor of what the debt sustainability framework for Kenya is. In other words, there's a lot of numbers here and narratives, but we are not seeing a debt stress analysis, a cash flow stress analysis. I think we need to see something like that. That will wake up everybody that we are likely to default in 6 months or in 1 year or in 2 years. As it is today, you can read this and you can tell there's a problem coming, but you can't predict when, because the analytical tool is missing. I am sure we have very competent staff that can give us a debt stress test and cash flow stress test for Kenya, whether we are a going concern or we will soon be bankrupt. And finally, Madam Speaker, on this single national treasury account, I'm aware there is e-citizen, and I would have loved to hear something from the committee as to how the e-citizen framework will interface with a single national account treasury account, because I think there are some connections there. But I'm not seeing that. And finally, on the Kenya Airways issue, where we've inherited private sector debt or a company that is maybe strategic or of national importance, but somehow held by the private sector, there's clear case of conflict of interest here. And probably the committee was shy to talk about it. But I think as Parliament, we need to share this information out. Why is it that it was only Kenya Airways that was guaranteed that amount of money? Why? And what is the committee recommending about it? Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion. Honorable Speaker, as my good friend Dr. Makali Mulu was saying, if you go through the recommendations of this committee's report, indeed, we will need to do very little if all these recommendations are adopted, or rather, since we are likely to adopt them, if they are implemented by the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, allow me to pick up from where the member from Homa Bay, the Honorable Karoli Omondi, has stopped on the single treasury account. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, last year, during debate of this same report, we had this recommendation. And I think the danger is that we only put it as a recommendation with no timelines. And I was wishing, how I wish the committee had put specific timelines. But this also points to a problem also with the House Implementation Committee. Because once the House resolves, we cannot be doing things in vain here. And we purpose to have a committee of implementation, not to just hold meetings in rooms up here and wait for allowances, but to hold meetings and follow up on all House resolutions. And I don't think there is any other resolution that is as important as the resolutions we make on finance matters, and especially around the issue of debt. Because, Honorable Speaker, this single treasury account, and I remember about 6 or so years ago, saying in this House, there are bureaucrats in government who will never allow, at their own volition, the implementation of the single treasury account. Because they are minting hundreds of millions by holding money in bank accounts, getting kickbacks from commercial banks. And that is how it is, Honorable Speaker. And I have no fear of contradiction when I say that, because I know. I have been an auditor in this country. I have worked in the financial services sector. I know what happens. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is up to the implementation committee of this House to ensure that this particular recommendation on the single treasury account is actualized. And how I wish that even as we move, Honorable Chair, you would insert a small amendment to put a timeline on the implementation of this treasury single account. Give them probably 30 to 45 days. To Honorable Speaker, because like the society we are in, Honorable Speaker, we as a House and as a country, we all live in the same country. Last year, during the State of the Nation address, none other than President William Ruto pronounced himself right in this House and asked the National Treasury that by the first quarter of 2025, everybody must be on e-procurement. We must ask ourselves, are we now towards the tail end of the second quarter, are we on e-procurement in all sectors of government? Because, Honorable Speaker, if there is no follow-through to these pronouncements, if there is no action being taken by those who ought to be taking action, and that is none other than committees of this House that must ensure that whatever is pronounced in this House is implemented, Honorable Speaker, then we will go through the motions every year saying have a single treasury account. The President will pronounce himself on the question of e-procurement, but it will never be done because people are eating heavily from the manual procurement processes that exist, Honorable Speaker. And I've seen, Honorable Speaker, in some of these government parastatals, interestingly, you find a procurement process that is tailored or skewed in a way that it will only go to one contractor or one service provider. PPRA jots down an opinion and attempts to stop that procurement. 2-3 weeks later, the same agency, PPRA, gives a go-ahead for that procurement process, then you wonder why in the first place then do you seek to stop that procurement process? And all these things can only be brought to an end if we go to e-procurement, Honorable Speaker, and that is why we must support what the President pronounced himself on the question of e-procurement, because it has a bearing on our debt levels. The huge amounts of pending bills emanate from procurement processes that take forever. And people procure towards the end of the financial year, like now, incur expenditure, but you don't pay, and they are rolled over to July in the new financial year. They end up accumulating into pending bills, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we must be the ones to assist the President. We must be the ones to assist, not the President, but the country, because ensuring the implementation of the single treasury account is helping Kenya. Implementation of e-procurement by the National Treasury is helping Kenya. And I hope the Cabinet Secretary and National Treasury and his Principal Secretary are listening. And if they are, because they are coming here tomorrow, I hope to hear in his statement tomorrow an update on where the National Treasury is on implementation of e-procurement across all sectors in government, Honorable Speaker, including the National Assembly and Parliament as an institution. Because, Honorable Speaker, you also chair the Parliamentary Service Commission, and it is also an arm of government. Honorable Speaker, moving on to some of the other recommendations on the opportunity cost that is arising from interest being waived, and especially for the case example that were given, or rather I have seen in the report of Kenya Airways, that government borrows money from T-bills at a rate of 9 or 10%, then you lend the same money to KQ at 3% or 5%. Why? Why can't Kenya Airways go and borrow from the market at 10%? Because you're basically subsidizing a private company as much as government as a shareholder in that company. And therefore, we must be careful that if we are borrowing money to on-lend to another government agency or a government parastatal, then it must be lent to that parastatal at an equivalent interest or probably at a small premium. Kenya Airways, if they couldn't get a commercial loan at 15%, why can't they pay that loan if we borrowed at 9%, at 10 or 11% or 12% like in Asako? And it will still be at a discount compared to the commercial loans that they would otherwise have gotten, Honorable Speaker, because this is where we lose money. And as the chair and the vice chair, Honorable Makali, were saying, or rather the immediate former vice chair and a diligent member of this committee, Honorable Makali, were saying, we continue to lose money that way. Two, Honorable Speaker, is a question of commitment fees that we are paying for loans. And again, the committee has rightly noticed, I noticed in the observations, that, Honorable Speaker, this is emanating largely from loans that we have committed to, but we do not allocate or give adequate money, appropriate adequate money to pay the counterpart financing or the financing that ought to come from the government of Kenya. And it's in all sectors, especially the water sector. I have seen many, many projects in the water sector, in the energy sector, and a few in the road sector where you need counterpart funding. And because money during budget making process is not appropriated, adequate money to pay for the counterpart funding, then you end up not having these loans disbursed. You have paid commitment fees. At times you have even paid insurance against those loans. And that is money lost because you are not deriving what you ought to have derived from the money you ought to borrow, Honorable Speaker. And I'm glad I had about 2 or 3 weeks ago the Comptroller of Budget speak to the same issue about commitment fees, interest that we pay and insurance that we pay on these undisbursed loans. And we therefore must ensure that for every loan that we sign for, because the National Treasury, there is no loan that will be signed for by anybody in government, whether it is those in the energy sector, whether it is in the water sector, whether it is Kenya Airways that you are guaranteeing, there is no loan that will be signed for that the National Treasury is not aware. And if one hand in the National Treasury is the one signing for these loans, and the other hand is the one preparing the budget estimates what is so difficult to ensure that you have provided adequate resources to pay for the counterpart funding and commitment fees so that we don't continue incurring costs. And therefore, that's why I want to agree with Honorable Makali and the committee that if we implement all the recommendations of this committee, and now that I see Honorable Makali just walked back in, I was saying, Honorable Makali, if there is somebody who has let us down as a house and as a country, is our own implementation committee, the Committee on Implementation. Because all these recommendations that we make here, year in, year out, it is up to that committee to follow up. I would wait for the day I see the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, the Director General in charge of public debt, the Principal Secretary in the National Treasury, before the implementation committee telling the country why it is taking them so long to have a single treasury account, while government continues to borrow its own money, because government largely is borrowing its own money. If you look at the money being held by, for instance, the Kenya Roads Board in commercial banks, you'll be shocked. Even road agencies that owe billions to contractors, you will find them holding money in bank accounts. Look at the bank accounts of the National Lands Commission, Honorable Speaker. You'll be shocked. Money lying there, idle money that is being used by the commercial banks where they have banked to trade and trade with government, lend it back to government, government pays at an interest. And Honorable Speaker, if that is not insider trading, I don't know whether it's insider trading or whatever it is, Honorable Speaker, but we are saying we are guilty as charged, very guilty, because these are simple things that should take a very short time to implement, and I must challenge our implementation committee to ensure that the National Treasury and all other agencies that are charged with implementing many of these recommendations in this report and other previous reports are implemented fully, so that we realize the gains that we ought to realize and save on our public debt spending. Honorable Speaker, if you read through this report, you see between 2015, 2016 to now 2025, 2026, the committee is telling us that the public debt interest payments as a share of our GDP has grown from 3.2% in 2015-2016 to a projected 5.7% in 2025-2026. Very huge leap, almost doubling, because is just 0.7% to be double what it was about 10 years ago, Honorable Speaker. Consequently, as that number goes up, the development expenditure has also been going down from a high of 7.2% in 2015-2016 to 3.5% in 2025-2026. A country that is spending 3.5% on development expenditure, Honorable Speaker, as a share of GDP, cannot grow at the rate that we want our country to grow. We must devote more money to development expenditure. And, Honorable Speaker, I noticed that as much as the committee speaks about other sources of financing, off-balance sheet sources of financing, Honorable Speaker, we must commend at least this administration. For the first time, a number of the huge infrastructure projects are happening from the fund, the housing fund, like the housing that is going on, that is helping to spur economic growth in the country. But you can imagine what would happen if we had that level of investment going in the construction of roads, construction of dams and water ponds across the country to ensure that people have adequate water, there is enough water storage capacity in the country to cater for our use during the dry season, Honorable Speaker. It would spur very good economic growth in the country and therefore reduce on the amounts that we have to borrow, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, is on resource mobilization. And I know this is usually a very uncomfortable debate to engage with anybody. Right from Caesar's time in the Bible, when Jesus said, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give unto God what belongs to God. We are coming to that season, Honorable Speaker, when we must, and I look forward to hearing from the Cabinet Secretary tomorrow, on the revenue-raising measures, But as we speak about debt levels, we must bear in mind that as also we passed the expenditure estimates this morning, we must bear in mind that that goes hand in hand with the level of resources that we are able to mobilize locally from our own taxes. Because unless and until we are able to mobilize adequate resources to cater for our expenditure, then we will continue to expand on our fiscal deficit, and that expansion of the fiscal deficit ends up with a lot of public debt borrowing or increased borrowing from our public coffers, or rather to finance our public expenditure. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, allow me to end there, but close by again appealing to the chair of to ensure that they have ensured that all these recommendations in this committee's report are implemented fully. And particularly, Honorable Speaker, I have a very keen interest on that single treasury account and, of course, other issues that I have mentioned, especially around e-procurement to save on government expenditure. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think we're done, yeah? The Honorable Kainan. You have pressed the button, Honorable Kainan. Oh, by mistake, okay. Honorable Suleka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this debate. On the onset, let me congratulate the members of this committee, which I am also a member. We've worked tirelessly and exceptionally well to produce this report, and this committee is a good representation of the House in undertaking its oversight mandate. Honorable Speaker, even though the public debt service is projected at 1.9 trillion in the financial year 2025-2026, this will be the lowest debt service level over the medium term. This gives us a short-term relief that must be used wisely. We should also take this opportunity to improve how we execute the budget and redirect towards investment that grow the economy in the long term. Honorable Speaker, we've also seen a steady rise in non-discretionary spending, especially on debt service and pensions. This puts a lot of pressure on the cash flow. To ensure the budget runs smoothly, we must also improve on our cash forecasting systems and coordinate better between dates and cash management teams. This will also help us manage the short-term liquidity pressures. Honorable Speaker, there is also a serious concern that was raised, that was on the wasteful spending, particularly on the commitment fees. In the first 9 months of the financial year 2024-2025, the government paid over Kenya shillings 770 million in commitment fees. We must also stop this by ensuring development partners fully disburse funds. This means we must honor our counterpart funding obligations. What happens is we usually sign contracts, we look for funding that we don't have the co-funding ready. So in the long run, we will be unable to meet our obligation in funding those projects. Then the donors will refuse to release the funds, thus leading to this huge payment of commitment fees. Honorable Speaker, we also need to increase on the investment in development. Development spending plays a big role in supporting public debt repayment in the long term, and also improving the debt sustainability. for the country. However, the investment share of the GDP has dropped sharply from 19.5 from the year 2015-2016 up to 2025-2026, we are at 4.1%. We also need to change this percentage by putting more capital projects, diversifying the economy and creating jobs for our youth. And finally, Honorable Speaker, the issue of single treasury account is very critical and very important for this country. We are losing a lot. Ministries, government agencies and departments have cash lying in their accounts. And at the end of the day, we end up borrowing more money. That means we also need to put a lot of pressure on Treasury to make sure that we have this single Treasury account in the long run that is going to solve all our liquidity problems and is going to solve most of our investment and development projects in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Those who are interested in speaking, put the intervention button. Honorable Timothy Toretich, I see you press the button. Hmm? Are you ready? So, honorable members, with your permission, we are going to rearrange it as rearrange the order paper as follows. We are just done with order number 10, which we shall put the questions at a later time. We shall now move to order number 15, which we have now renamed as order number 11. And so I'd like that order called out. And then after that, we shall move to order number 12. What was number 12 will remain as number 12. And then we shall move to what is number 16 becomes order number 13. And thereafter, what is order number 11 will become order number 14. So now you can call the next order. Committee of the Whole. Okay, Honorable Shuria, you may reply. Then we can move to the next order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank members for supporting the report, and we truly appreciate their support and their views and where we need to improve on, and we sincerely thank them. And Honorable Speaker, on that note, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Thank you. We shall put the question at a later time. Next order.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole House, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2024.
the chair's votes? Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole when the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2024.
Clause 3.
Chairperson, I propose the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. Mover of the amendment.
Thank you, Chair. I beg to move that clause 3 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. That clause 3 of the bill be amended in paragraph B by deleting the words "and cultural expression" and substituting, therefore, the words culture, culture heritage, and culture property.
Honorable members, I propose that clause 3 be amended as proposed. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And I now put the question that clause 3 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 4 be part of the bill. Mover? Just leave it here, then both of us can use it.
I beg to move that clause 4 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. That clause 4 of the bill be amended in subclause 2 by deleting the words cultural activities, expressions, and practices, and substituting, therefore, the words culture and culture heritage.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed. I now put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 4 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Mover?
I beg to move that clause 5 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. That clause 5 of the bill be amended. A, in subclause 1, by deleting the word expressions appearing in paragraph B and substituting, therefore, the word property. 2, by inserting the following new paragraphs immediately after paragraph G. GA, in consultation with institutions specializing in statistics, collecting, processing, and maintaining national statistics data on cultural heritage. GB, developing mechanisms for restitution and repatriation of illegally acquired cultural property. GC, establishment of linkages with institutions undertaking research on Kenya's cultures and cultural heritage. GD, establishment of National Cultural Center for promotion of cultural participation and fostering of creativity.
I propose the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. I now put the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 5 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I propose the question that clause 6 be part of the bill. Mover?
I beg to move that clause 6 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. That clause 6 of the bill be amended, A, by deleting the words cultural heritage and cultural expression appearing in paragraph C and substituting therefore the words culture and culture heritage. B, by inserting the following new paragraphs immediately after paragraph B. B.A, establishment and management of county cultural institutions. B.B, in consultation with institutions specializing in statistics, collecting, processing, and maintaining county statistical data on cultural heritage.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. I now put the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 6 be amended as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
So these are without amendments. Yes. I propose the question that clauses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clauses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12